Hello, everyone. It is time for Off the Hook with Matty D. I am your host, Matt DiNardo, and fall is a great time to get out and do some fly fishing. And if you want to catch trophy muskie and trophy smallmouth, well, you want to head to the western part of the state. And one of the guys that I'm going to bring in today is Captain Josh Lafferty from Virginia Trophy Guys. First of all, Captain Josh, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure, Matt. Glad to be here.
I know it's been a little bit of a travel for you. Just got back from Alaska as you guide up there, so we'll try to keep you awake in this for sure.
I'm glad to be here.
Hey, so how did you get involved, first of all, as a young child in fly fishing and the like, and then into guiding?
Basically, I had an aunt and uncle on my dad's side who never had kids. And my uncle, Paul, was an outdoorsman. And he kind of took me under his wing at an early age. And then, most of the fly fishing, I was kind of self-taught. He was not a fly fisherman, but he kind of lit the spark. And then it just grew from there, a lifetime of doing it and traveling and fishing as well. So, yeah, and the guiding part was just, I never really wanted to have a real job, Matt, so to speak. And, was just fortunate, met some great folks early on, and, it's led to a good career.
I mean, and then you found out that guiding is a real job. You probably work more than the average 9-to-5 person for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely a case of mistaken identity. It's a long grind, 12 months a year, but we love it. We're fortunate. We meet some great folks and fish with some wonderful people in our boats every day. So yeah, it's been a great ride.
And you have an amazing office window every day. It changes and it can be real pretty at times.
We do. Southwest Virginia is a beautiful place, as you know, and it's a real pleasure to get people out here on these rivers and show them the country.
So, what are some of the rivers that you take clients to, and where are we located? First of all.
So we're located in Roanoke. That's basically our home base, and we travel north and south to the New and the James River, respectively, north and south. But those are the two primary systems that we're working on for both bass and muskie.
And so muskie, we're going to talk about first. What is a muskie? People know them either as muskellunge, or is it the same as tiger muskie as well, or is that a different breed?
It's a different strain of fish out of the same species, right? So you have the East Sox, is the short name, the East Sox family of fish. Here in Virginia, we have muskie, which are the largest, and we also have the smallest, which are the chain pickerel. We do not target pickerel commercially, but they are found in a lot of our waterways here in this part of the state and other parts of the state as well. They're basically all cousins. Tiger muskies are oftentimes put in like reservoirs and stuff out west to control other populations, or just as a game fish. They're typically sterile and don't reproduce. The fish we have in both the New and the James, while originally stocked by the game department, these fish are reproducing naturally in these waterways and sustaining the population on their own.
These are ginormous. I mean, I have some pictures up as we're talking here. Some of these look like they're 30, 35, 40 inches. I mean, that's what we're looking at, right?
Right. So, nationwide, the benchmark for muskies is 50 inch. That's like the gold standard as far as like your true trophy muskie.
Wow.
Here in Virginia, we catch fish that size every season, but we do have a lot of, say, 32 to 44 inch fish. They grow slow. Their metabolism really slows down, and the bigger they get, the older they are. So Mother Nature has a way of kick-starting them fast at first, and then they really slow down. So it takes, these fish live a long time, Matt, and it takes a while for them to get to that size.
It's just incredible. So are we finding the muskies mostly, and I'm not trying to give away your secrets here, is it mostly in the New River or the Upper James, or a combination of both?
It's definitely a combination of both.
Okay.
Not to sell one river short or the other. They fish differently. They're two different animals, so to speak. Obviously, the New, where we fish it primarily in the lower, is larger than the Upper James. Personally, I think the Upper James is a little easier to guide, but they're both unique in their own ways, and they're both excellent musky fisheries as well.
And what kind of rods are you using to go after fish of this size? It's obviously not the small little 4-weight trout rod. I mean, that would snap it like a toothpick.
Yeah, and a lot of kind of a misnomer about fly fishing for muskies is it's not just this activity that only big, burly, super strong guys can do. As with all fly fishing, if you're fundamentally sound, anybody can do this. Size makes no difference, strength makes no difference. I mean, it is arduous. We're throwing 10, 11, 12 weight fly rods with oftentimes full sinking lines and large flies. That's just a fact. It's hard work, but it's worth it in the end. They can be a difficult fish to catch, but it's a challenge worth pursuing. And I think most fly anglers are, that's kind of what they're looking for anyway.
I mean, as I was collecting the pictures, getting ready for this Off the Hook episode, I was just in awe. This makes me want to run out today and jump with a rod with you guys in the boat. So if you're using, huge flies with sinking lines, we're talking lower water column then. These fish are cruising the bottom, or are they coming up midway as well?
It's seasonal, Matt. I mean, the muskies will migrate both for food and spawn seasonally, probably more than what most people would think or give them credit for. These fish will move miles in a river system when needed, or when they want to. That's proven. We see it in the tagging that the state does, and we see these fish are pretty easily identifiable. They have marks and scars, and sometimes from mishandling. So you can catch these same fish year after year, and it's you can almost kind of dial in their movements and know exactly where they are. But it's a combination of fishing deep pools and certain other features, throughout the season as they move for spawn and for feeding.
And as we're looking at this picture, I'm going to pull up full screen for you as well. Is that one of the flies that you're using on a muskie, or is that just something in front? I'm assuming that's a fly, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a big red oak leaf hanging out of its mouth from a distance. But yeah, that is one of the flies that we use. In the fall time, or more so in the winter time, kind of pre-spawn, Matt, they tend to be looking for a little larger forage. If I just had to put a number on their average forage size day in, day out, 5 to 8 inches. They're eating a lot of soft rayed fish, suckers, fall fish, things like that. Wow. So 5 to 8 inches is probably standard fare for most muskie.
Okay.
But they are capable of taking something a third of their body length. So, a big fly is definitely worth throwing at certain times of the year.
Okay, so let's talk about the seasonality of the fish. You've mentioned a lot of times here, fall and winter. When are you targeting muskies? When are you laying off from going for muskies?
Right. So we try to have real specific start and stop points for all of our seasons, both muskie and bass. Mm-hmm. So if we start with, we won't start at the first month of the year. We'll just start, basically, we start muskie fishing after their spawn. So we're going to start at say May 15th or so. And some of this is water temperature driven as well. So let's just start with post spawn. So we're going to pick up about somewhere between May 1st and May 15th, and we're going to go to about June 1. As you know, it gets hot here. Mm-hmm. Summer kind of shuts it down. Once those water temperatures get up, 70 degrees, we're pretty much done, and we're on to bass. And then what we're going to do from there is we're going to lay off all summer long because of the water temperatures.
Right.
And we're going to pick back up sometime in October once the water cools down. We're going to fish October, November, all the way through March 15th. That is when we stop muskie fishing. We stop ahead of the spawn. That, muskie anglers across the state are going to go crazy when I say that, but we you can fish them through the month of March.
Right.
You know, it's pretty obvious once they start going to their spawning grounds. We stop March 15th because that's when we start with our pre-spawn bass fishing.
Gotcha. So,
and sometimes we even pre-spawn bass fish a little earlier than that, but that's basically the season. We have that pre-spawn winter season, which is really good, really popular. We're really busy that time of the year.
mm-hmm.
And then that month of May and post-spawn is pretty electric fishing, and October is really good too.
So when they're coming out of spawn, they're just gorging on everything, I'm assuming, at that point.
Yeah, it's a little faster fishing. They're pretty aggressive. They're much bigger in the winter because they packed on the pounds before the spawn.
Got it.
But you know, they're pretty aggressive in the spawn. So when you're catching them in May, they're kind of banged up, and you know, they're hard on each other. So
incredible stuff. And then you mentioned bass fishing here, and so we'll kind of switch into that. Before we do, actually, what is it? Can you explain to our viewers what is the fight like on a muskie? I mean, it's rod bending action. How long is the fight? Do they fight and then give up, or is it tug of war for a while?
I mean, it's like a fist fight in a phone booth, Matt. Oftentimes they're eating right beside the boat, or at least within, you know, a visual range. We're basically stripping these guys in by hand, and we're trying to get them in the net as fast as possible. They have really hard cartilage and bony mouths on the inside, their mouth structure. So it's oftentimes when you get these guys in the net, the hook's coming right out as soon as you introduce a little slack. So it's a really aggressive take, which is incredible and what most people are after. It's very violent. It's really being able to see it all happen oftentimes is really cool for the angler, and it's exciting. And it's usually hard and fast, and then we're trying to get them in the net as fast as possible.
So it's a cast out with this large fly, sinks down, and then you're stripping it in, and they're following it, and when they hit, are you strip setting, or is it pretty much when they hit, is it automatic?
Strip set, just like most other streamer fishing that you've done or that your viewers have done, Matt. It's a pure strip set, hard, and sometimes multiple. And then we're just trying to like rip them in by hand, keep them tight. It's an aggressive form of hooking and fighting a fish.
That's awesome. I mean, I am so turned on by this. It's fantastic.
It's amazing. And it's it's like having buck fever for your viewers that, you know, are avid outdoorsmen. They know what I'm saying when I say that.
Right.
It's handshaking, you know, it's a good time.
It's fantastic. What does a client who calls you up to book or gets on the email, what do they need to know? What do they need to bring with them so they can have a good time?
We say the only thing you need to bring is a positive muskie attitude, and the appropriate apparel for the season, and some lunch. We when they step on the boat with me or any of our guides, we provide all the tackle, all the flies, rods, reels, lines, etc. You know, that's and the know-how. What people need to bring is the willingness to put in the work to get the fish, and, you know, a good attitude and have fun. We often like to say, Matt, the experience should eclipse the fishing, good or bad. I think that's true. I've been a fishing guide for a long time, and that's one doctrine that's never changed in an ever-changing business.
So once you're done with the muskie, as you said, after May, right? Because you give them the break off for the spawn, then you go back to them for that 1 month, and then you're really getting into bass fishing. And again, as I was going through this, these are some trophy bass. I mean, ginormous bass.
Yeah, so most people who grew up in the outdoors in this part of the state or in Virginia, the New River especially is known. It's a world-class smallmouth bass fishery. That's just a fact. The pre-spawn season, you know, which, you know, let's just say March 15th to April 15th for conversation's sake, it's typically when you catch the larger fish.
Okay.
They've really got the weight on those big females. It's true streamer fishing. It's a lot of fun. The weather's pretty good. It's a nice long window that you have for opportunity at these 18 to 20 to 21 inch fish. The smallmouth benchmark 20 inches. That's what guys are looking for, that and larger. The new does not disappoint. And, there's quality smallmouth fishing in the Upper James as well. So we got on both. We arguably do more on the new, but it's a great time to be out there in the spring. There's lots of other stuff going on. The turkeys are gobbling, the bass are eating, and they're big and they're fat. And it's a great time in a drift boat. And then as we transition into the summer months, June, great time. Post spawn, bait fish bite is on. And then we work into July. It's a little more finesse fishing in July. And then August, all the way, honestly, into the first week of November, depending on our weather. Great cork bug fishing, top water, big fish eating on top. It's what this part of the state is known for. Smallmouth bass are known to be pound for pound a great target. The New River in this part of Virginia is known for it, so it's a wonderful time to be out there.
And so you just answered a ton of my questions there. So early on in the season, you're doing streamers or crawfish, so you're mid to lower water column, and then once we get it super hot, you're going top water, and that top water fight has got to be, when you watch that fish launch from below, it's got to be like your eyes just bulge out of your head kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's exciting fishing. Again, anytime it's visual with a fly rod and a fish that, really pounds hard once they're on the hook, it's hard to beat. And it's good numbers too, Matt, unlike the musky fishing. This is, you're going to go out. It's great for beginners. It's great for kids. We also do guide for smallmouth with conventional tackle as well.
Right.
So, we don't want to like run anybody off. It's for the smallmouth fishing. It's not only fly fishing. There's a lot of other ways to skin that cat. And we do utilize those other methods, but it's a great way to introduce people into the sport of fly fishing.
Right. And
they're going to have success, and they're going to learn a lot with our guides out there doing it.
And I think that's great, Josh, because, if you have someone, a dad and a son, a dad and a daughter, or mother, son, whatever, or, kind of somebody who hasn't really started fly fishing like, deeply, but somebody has, they might get frustrated throwing that fly. So throwing a spin gear on, retrieving the lure just makes it a little bit easier, and they're still into fish. They're still having a great time.
Yeah, it will, it should be more about the people you're there with anyway. So, we try to accommodate all skill levels, all persuasions when it comes to the smallmouth fishing. And there's not as much of a learning curve like the musky fishing. So a more inexperienced angler can go out there with our guys, learn a lot about the fundamentals of fly fishing, but still catch some fish and have a great day.
This is great. So if we're fly fishing for these fish, like we're seeing here on the video, what weight rods are you using here? Obviously not as heavy as what you're using for muskie, but still I'm sure some pretty decent rods because you're throwing some pretty good flies.
Yeah, 6, 7, 8 weights, depending. That sometimes we're using the larger ones, throwing larger top water stuff. They're just a little more wind resistant, if you will. So having a larger rod to punch that stuff out, and in the summer when we have low clear water, Matt, which is pretty common these days, a longer cast and longer leader type situations are going to be useful and very helpful for our anglers. So sometimes having a larger rod to really punch those casts out, makes a difference.
And so I think you mentioned something that's really important there. You said the low clear water. And obviously lately we have had a tremendous amount of rain. You guys in the western part of the state, as you get even farther west, have had some flooding, have had erosion. How are your waterways right now? What are we looking at?
The James, we're guiding on the James today. The New River, while the flows have come down, we haven't really been out there since. We've been doing most of the work on the James here in the last couple of weeks because of the obvious flooding. That New River corridor got hit very hard, as you and your viewers already know.
Yeah.
we really just, it's a matter of getting out there and seeing what is in the river, to be honest. Now that it's come down where we can put boats on it. I just got back from Alaska, so
Right.
I haven't been out there on it since I've been home, and I just need to get out there and see what kind of what kind of debris and stuff is in the river. It's going to be fun. It's not trying to scare any of your
Sure.
viewers off of it, and obviously our clientele, but I think it's going to be fun. Right now, the James is fishing fine. It's fishing really good, actually, and the new will be fishing again. We've just been off of it because of the recent weather events.
And of course, that then, if you have your guides had, clients booked and all, they had to reschedule them, move them around. And that's, kind of part of the course. The weather can really play havoc with what you all do.
It can. Yeah, sometimes it takes some patience and some flexibility with the schedule, obviously. We were very fortunate. Obviously, we're based in Roanoke, so we were safe and didn't have damage to our homes or like a lot of people in the state and in North Carolina and Tennessee, but sadly, of course. But
Yeah.
we're fortunate to have other rivers in this area that were not affected. A lot of guys in our position can't say the same, and it's a travesty, but we're fortunate that we have the James, to work on as well, and to still be able to offer our services and keep moving forward.
And speaking of your services, I know your outfit, Virginia Trophy Guides, doing something that kind of touches your heart, helping those in North Carolina in the western part of the state with a kind of a trip. It's a fundraiser. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the Virginia Trophy Guides raffling off a trip. If people want to learn more, the best thing would be to just jump on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, at Virginia Trophy Guides, and watch the videos that are up there. We have a lot of friends and colleagues that work in those parts of the country, Western North Carolina. I've got some, really good friends in the Boone area. And I used to guide up there on some of that water. So it's, it's a place that I've been many times and places I've fished many times, and beautiful part of the country. And it's pretty devastated up there. And there's going to be a lot of people, aside from being out of work, there's just a lot of people that are displaced and suffering up there. And it's, you hate to see it. It's, Mother Nature has a strange way. And, those folks are paying the price for it up there. And they'll get back on their feet. The people that live in those mountains and along those river towns are, they're, strong, durable folks. And, once it's all cleaned up, it'll be back to normal. It's going to be a while though. And, there's large geological changes and stuff that happens when a river floods that bad. So it's going to be a hard, long process for a lot of people in getting those fisheries back in order, but I'm sure they will. And what we're doing is just probably a drop in the bucket, Matt, but you just feel like I think just in human nature, we want to try to help our friends and our neighbors. And, this is just a small way in which we can do it.
And I think it's a great way to do it too, right? I mean, it touches your heart. Like you said, you know people in the Boone area, you're guided in the Boone area. I mean, you have friends, guides, relatives, family. I mean, we're all seeing it. And you're right. It's not a 2-day cleanup. We're talking months upon months, if not years, to really start to bring that area back around. I mean, it's incredible. And the entire landscape has changed because of that. Josh, one more thing, and we'll just briefly touch on this because I do want to have you back later in January, February, but you mentioned it a couple of times. You just got back from Alaska. You guide up there about 18 weeks a year. Give our viewers just a little sense of what that is and what y'all do up there.
So we work on the Naknek River there, right in Bristol Bay. We're 350 miles southwest of Anchorage. Most people know where Anchorage is. Mm-hmm. All 5 species of Pacific salmon and Alaska's largest rainbow trout. When that river, the Naknek River, is known for its size, class, and rainbows, those are the biggest trout pretty much in the world. They've been there forever, and they weren't put there by man's hands, and they are a special breed of rainbow trout. And as you know, Matt, Alaska is a special place. Been working there a long time. Everybody that works for Virginia Trophy Guides is a veteran guide from Alaska. So, we know it well. We love that state. We love working there seasonally. It's nice. I've been home for about 12 hours. So,
and you jumped on this with me.
It's nice to be back. And it was starting to get cold there. So, Northern Lights are out. We're having frosty mornings there in the last frontier. So it's nice to be home back in Virginia where I was born and raised. And we'd love to have a conversation for your viewers on the fishing there. It's a great place. Everybody should see it at least once.
And real quick, you said you just came home yesterday, which is the beginning of October. When does your season start up there? When do you get up there? Because you got to set up the whole lodge too with everybody else, right?
Yeah. So I arrive in late May, and I'm usually back home first to second week of October every year. And, like I said, Austin has been going all summer. So we don't really stop. Got home yesterday, back to work pretty much immediately. When I get done with this, I got to get out here and take the drift boat to the car wash and get ready to go here. So
get ready to go for sure. Well, let me put this up here for you. I don't want to take up much more of your time. Josh, you have been fantastic. For all of our viewers, if you would like to book a guided trip for either muskie or smallmouth on the New or Upper James, you want to contact VirginiaTrophyGuides.com. I put a QR code on the screen. You can just click that. It'll take you right to it. You can learn more about their outfit, their guiding, and everything you need to know. Book a trip, especially for muskie in fall. Before the pre-spawn, they're the biggest, and then after spawn, he said in May, it is wild. And, of course, smallmouth, it's just incredible. Captain Josh, I thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Matt. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Once again, this has been Off the Hook with Matty D. Again, our guest has been Captain Josh Lafferty from Virginia Trophy Guides. Book them today.